Hello and welcome to this afternoon broadcast on NewsX. I'm Saurav Sanyal and our top story this hour coming in from Gurugram. In a shocking incident of medical apathy in Gurugram, the parents of a 7-year-old dengue patient were allegedly billed for a whopping 16 lakh rupees for a 15-day stay at a hospital in Gurugram. But their daughter died at the end of the stay. The itemized bill, which runs into 19 pages, shows that Fortis Hospital charged the parents for 661 syringes and 2,700 gloves, among other items, that were supposedly used during the treatment. Meanwhile, following the outrage, Health Minister J.P. Nadda has taken note of the incident and has vowed all possible support to the bereaved family.
They told me that as per the Lama procedure, you are not entitled to get an ambulance. Our doctor will remove the ventilator in your ambulance and you have to take the daughter to another hospital and get her death certificate. They will not give a death certificate. So these kind of things, the doctors, and they have not reported my daughter's death anywhere. They have not reported the severity of dengue which my daughter suffered. So these kind of things, they just want to keep their records clean. They don't want to showcase any casualty in their record.
हमने अभी भी कहा है कि हम लड़ाई पैसे के लिए उनसे नहीं लड़ रहे हैं या कुछ ऐसा नहीं है। हमारा मेन ये है कि हमको प्रॉपर्ली इन्फॉर्म नहीं किया गया या फिर उन्होंने ट्रीटमेंट को बहुत स्ट्रेच किया। वो ट्रीटमेंट शायद एक हफ्ते पहले उन्होंने उसका एमआरआई किया होता तो वही सेम रिजल्ट आना था जो लास्ट डे आया कि उसका ब्रेन बहुत ज़्यादा डैमेज हो गया है एंड देयर इज नो यूज ऑफ फॉलो अप द केस।
Really, I think medical facilities in this country have to improve, one, and two, they have to see a sea change in terms of attitudes of doctors and the medical fraternity.
मेडिकल एथिक्स होता है, उस एथिक्स के अनुसार से ही काम करना चाहिए। इस पर कई एक्ट भी बने हुए हैं और उसके बावजूद अगर अपने में सुधार नहीं लाते हैं तो ये बड़ा ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। मुझे लगता है कि उसकी पूरी जांच घटना के विभाग के संज्ञान में आया है, उसकी पूरी जांच के आदेश हो चुका है। मुझे लगता है इसकी जांच होगी और जांच में कोई आंच नहीं और अगर उसमें जो भी प्रकार का दोषी पाए जाएंगे ऐसे लोगों पर कार्रवाई होगी।
As you can see, the family had paid whopping 15,60,000 rupees for this 15 days duration, and the family is alleging that they were charged for all the wrong reasons and the hospital had prescribed expensive drugs for treatment. As you can see, they were charged for this nutritionist fee. The family is alleging that ever since Adya was admitted to Fortis Hospital, she was on ventilator and she was not eating anything. Then why they were charged for the nutritionist fee? Apart from these are the visit charges. These are the visits that were made by some of the eye specialists. Now, family is saying that since Adya's eyes were taped shut, why eye specialists were visiting them and why they were charged for this. But the most shocking thing in this entire bill summary is this meropenem, which is an antibiotic that was given to Adya. As you can see, one vial of this meropenem came to around 4,491, but the other one, the same meropenem, came to around 65,000 rupees. So obviously the family is saying that this shows the medical apathy and medical corruption that was going on in this 5-star hospital.
And staying with this story, let's listen into what the Indian Medical Association has had to say.
Suffering from severe dengue. It's not simple dengue, it's a severe dengue, which cannot be treated by a tertiary hospital called Rockland. That means High Court has refused. Rockland is like a High Court. Referred to a Supreme Court, which is a Fortis, a bigger hospital. Admitted in ICU. Remains on ventilator for days together. For 13 days, SMS is sent every day's bill. Because the child dies, nothing comes with that you are overcharging it. Yes, every person has a right to have his redressal. He can go to the hospital and ask for a meeting with the medical superintendent. Kindly explain to me, kindly explain. I need a copy of the bill. I need a copy of the details. I need to have explanation for everything. If he is not satisfied, against a doctor, he can go to the council. And against a hospital, he can go to the directed health services. I've been told that the Minister of Health has already ordered an inquiry. Let the inquiry come. I don't think so. This statement that in an ICU bill of 1 lakh a day cannot come is not correct. We need to know how much bill would have come in AIMS, how much money Government of India would have spent if such patient was admitted in AIMS. So we have to go on the merit of the case. Let the investigations come. It's too early to say that they have overcharged or a patient that charging 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh for a serious patient. A wrong message will go to the community, and tertiary care hospitals will not grow, and they will start not accepting such cases where you can buy the life by money.
So do you think there is a need for any kind of mechanism because
it's not poor people, you're supposed to go to the government hospital. Tertiary care, the 5-star hospitals are made for people who can afford, people who have insurance, people who have PSUs, and a percentage of cases we just they have got a land which is free. So I don't think so we can say that all poor patients need to be treated in a tertiary private hospital free of cost. That's the duty of the government. Government to take care of rich or poor, all emergencies under the directive principles and Constitution 21. That's the responsibility of the government. Government cannot say that I cannot do that. Private hospital don't charge it.
But sir, there is some humanitarian question that...
No, humanitarian grounds will come. In such cases, every hospital, it's the duty of the hospitals to give them humanitarian ground treatment for the first day. Every hospital is supposed to give them 1 day treatment free. Explain to the patient, if the patient can't afford, arrange a transfer to the nearest hospital. Humanitarian ground cannot come for 13 days. First day, yes. On humanitarian ground, you take care of the emergency, then transfer to a suitable place.
So, pura
Let's open this up for discussion now. I'm now joined over the phone line by Dr. Chandra Gulati. Dr. Gulati, help us understand now this shocking story that has come to light from Gurugram, where this family is saying that how they were fleeced for 15 long days. The child was battling for her life, and then in the end, the patients say that they're pointing to multiple loopholes now on the part of the hospital. A whopping bill of 16 lakh rupees was slapped on the parents.
Yeah, you know, the issue is not whether the patient was there for 2 days or 5 days or 10 days, and whether the bill is for 5 lakhs or 16 lakhs. These are non-scientific issues. The scientific issue is that if you admit a patient in ICU, then full information should be given as to the reason for keeping the patient in ICU, what is their diagnosis, how long it is likely to take, and how much it is going to cost. Now, if this information had been given, then there will be no dispute at all. But apparently this information was not given, and the patient was admitted on a paid basis in ICU.
Right.
Without the informed consent. I repeat the word, informed consent of the family, which is unlawful, to say the least.
Right. Dr. Gulati, we also spoke with Jan Singh, the child's father, and he said that this was nothing but an organized loot on the part of the hospital.
Well, you know, I mean, these are subjective description into which I would not like to go, but I will only, cite the legal and ethical aspect. The legal and ethical aspect are that a patient cannot be confined, can be admitted to ICU without giving full, complete information and getting informed consent from the parents. That is the legal and scientific issue.
Dr. Gulati, also just help us understand, the family says that it's time that the government steps in and that they've also demanded a thorough probe. In fact, we've heard the health minister also come out and say that he is calling out for all the facts in the case. So is this then a case for under which the hospital can be tried for criminal conspiracy?
I don't know whether they can be tried for criminal conspiracy, but they can definitely be tried for criminal negligence and for not following the rules. And the rule is there informed consent or not? You know, we must appreciate that informed consent is the basis in which patients can be admitted and treated. And where are those papers of informed consent? How much information was given? Whether that information was correct or incorrect.
Right.
These are the issues in which into which the health ministry
Right, so
should
multiple
certainly go.
issues which the health ministry must look into. Thank you so much, Dr. Gulati, for sharing your inputs on this horror story coming in from Gurugram. The call-in lines are flashing. The call-in numbers are flashing at the bottom of our screens. You can call in and share your views. In fact, we've got our first caller now, Mr. Mahesh, calling us from Mumbai. Mr. Mahesh, please go ahead, share your views.
चाहता हूँ कि जो हमारे बच्चे अगर कोई भी हॉस्पिटल में अगर छोटा आदमी है
Yes, there seems to be an audio issue there with Mr. Mahesh, but the numbers are there which are flashing at the bottom of the screen. This is a call-in show where you, the viewer, can actually call in and share your views. In fact, let me quickly go across now to my colleague Vandana Sebastian Bawa, who joins me from the newsroom for the very latest. Vandana, yes, what details can you add?
Well, I'm going to take you through the responses coming on Twitter, Saurav. Our hashtag is Life Not Loot. You can see Desai Rajendra over here. He in fact says doctors take an oath to serve, but they don't care about the patients or the family. All they care about is money. Every small item and full bottles are charged heavily, but half open medicine is used. Full bottles are returned to the pharmacy and sold. All testing labs pay 40% for referral. It's a full-blown loot by the hospital. More actions coming in saying that it's very shocking. Now we have people in fact citing their own instances. A lot of people expressing solidarity, saying that they've experienced the same thing. We have Vijaya Lakshmi over here saying it's very shocking but not uncommon. My friend's healthy son was admitted in SIMS in Chennai for fever but ended up passing away, and a huge bill running into lakhs just for a couple of days. So sort of we have other people saying that they have experienced the same thing. A lot of people responding to our hashtag. Now we have Ajit Kumar Rai saying fortis means money, nothing with life. A lot of very angry reactions coming in on Twitter, Saurav, with a lot of people saying that they've experienced the same thing. They have dealt with hospitals overcharging.
Right, Vandana, I request you to stay on with us. Let me now go across to Dr. Girish Tyagi, who joins us from Delhi. Dr. Tyagi, your views. This is a story which has got India united in outrage. We have seen that how viewers are calling in, how viewers are writing into us, expressing how they feel that how these parents of the 7-year-old child, that they were fleeced by the hospital. So is this an organized racket that we are looking into?
We cannot directly say that it is an organized racket, but of course the investigation has to be done. Maybe because Fortis Noida is located at the UP Medical Council or UP government, because the
so this has happened in the Fortis hospitals in Gurugram, sir. This has happened in Gurugram, which is under Haryana.
Haryana Medical Council and the Haryana, because the Haryana Medical Council take action against the doctors for their professional misconduct or negligence on the part of the doctors.
Right, sir, but going by the facts as they appear now, as the facts are coming on the table, sir, do you feel that the hospital is guilty and needs to be tried for what they have done, for the horror story that is unfolding as far as this family is concerned?
Yeah, it should be thoroughly investigated. Investigation should be done. Maybe by the Haryana government directly can interfere with their health department or so. They should investigate further, and if there is any deficiency against the hospital, then of course they can take action against the hospital, because the hospital is registered and located at Haryana, must be registered with the Haryana government for providing the services.
Right, sir, but having said that, the Fortis Hospital also today has come out with a statement and they have said that they have done nothing wrong. But the fact of the matter is, when the parents spoke with us, they clearly said this was nothing but an organized loot that was taking place, and the hospital needs to be charged with criminal conspiracy.
Yeah, that is a matter of investigation, of course. If I am doing a wrong thing, and then of course I can't give a clean sheet to myself. Of course, some independent agency can investigate, and then of course the truth can be out.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Tyagi, for calling in. In fact, let me now go across to our next caller. Nagraj joins us from Mangalore. Nagraj, your views, please, on this story.
Yeah, namaste, sir. Namaste. See, actually, this is not only in Gurgaon. Other parts of India, normally all private hospitals, they are organizing loot is going on. Systematically, there are, most of the hospitals, private hospitals, they are looting. They are only, what they mean by this thing, 5-star treatment. I don't understand what 5-star it is. It is just looting, sir. Most of the hospitals, one syringe costs 62 rupees they charge, which is they get it for 7 rupees. There is no proper calculation.
Right, so there is no proper calculation, which is why patients and their relatives are being taken for a ride by private hospitals, is what you're saying. And that is a sentiment being echoed by millions of viewers who are watching the broadcast and people who are writing in also to us. Remember that this is a call-in show and the numbers are there at the bottom of our screens. But let me now go across to our next caller. Professor R.K. Menon joins us from Chennai. Professor Menon, your views. The family says that the hospital needs to be charged with criminal negligence.
Hi. No, there are two distinct things seems to be happening in this case. One is, the procedure being flouted by the hospital, and second is the overcharging. Now, the overcharging bit is what the hospital should look at, because it's very, very critical for the patient to go in there. And the second thing is medical protocol. I have a feeling that all the protocols have been broken, and it is just,
Right, so protocols have been broken, which is why the hospital clearly cannot say that they have followed the rule book to the T. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing your views. Let me quickly now go across to our next caller, Mohan, who joins us from Mysore. Yes, Mohan, go ahead.
Sir, recently there was a strike from private hospitals in Karnataka. You are aware of it?
Yes.
Because Karnataka government started bringing a legislation by curbing these menace in the Karnataka. So I thought this looting of patients from the hospital is restrained to Karnataka only, but it is rampant all over India. I think central government should itself bring a legislation to curb or control the private hospitals and private medical.
Right, so there needs to be legislation by which these private healthcare setups can actually be brought under the ambit of the legislation, is what you are saying, and a very valid point at that. Thank you so much for calling in, but let me now once again go across to my colleague Vandana, who's there in the newsroom to share some more reactions coming in.
Reactions are pouring in of residents across the country expressing anger at this and also expressing solidarity, saying that they all have been to the same thing. Now we have Randir Mishra over here commenting that saying that an internal probe is something that will not be justified in this case. He says a judicial review or else legal action is needed against this hospital. Now we have M.A. Mohan also responding, saying doctors or dacoits, but Addy ends up dying. And then we have Parikshit responding, saying that this is not one isolated case. This is a regular feature. With me, it happened when I went with my mother at night to treat her for high fever. They forced me to admit her, discharged after 2 days, and charged 26,000 rupees. Whereas the doctor ended up seeing her for only 1 minute. Well, a lot of, in fact, viewers and callers have also been responding on social media.
Viewers are writing into us. We urge our viewers to call in and to share their views on this story. Vandana, I'll come back to you in a bit, but time now to go across to Hyderabad. We are now joined by Mr. Shakil from Hyderabad, Shakil Ahmed. Yes, sir, please go ahead and share your views.
What I would like to tell you is, being a resident of Hyderabad, which is considered, to be the hub of hospitals, what I would like to say is, even for the corporate hospitals, there is a requirement, there is a need, for some sort of a regulatory authority, we should be clearing the bills. The patients are left to the mercy of the hospitals. And the fact is, a doctor visits a patient at the ICU and says, my visiting charges are 3,000 rupees. This is something imbalanced. You cannot having, a specialist.
Right. So you are saying, sir, that there's a need for regulation, a need for a regulatory body which is going to monitor as to what the private hospitals are up to in the name of healthcare. Thank you so much. Very valid point that you've made. But let's also listen in once again to what Jain Singh, the child's father, had to tell us.
One day they were telling me that they see a signs of improvement. The next day they were saying, no, all those things have gone wrong, some other complications happened. But the biggest complication was in the brain, and they were not testing the brain at all. So like if she was moved out of sedative after 3 days, and then she didn't wake up after 3 days, then the doctor still should have tested the brain. But they were very resistant in testing the brain. They were giving all the excuses why they can't do the CT scan or the MRI scan to check the brain. Because once the brain report is out, first came on 14, that 70-80% brain is damaged, they would not have been able to continue with the treatment which they were doing to my child at that time. So that's why they were avoiding that treatment, that check.
So that was Adya's father. We heard what the family went through, the ordeal that the family went through. It was complete horror which was unfolding by the day. The family was completely kept in the dark. There was no informed consent that was taken in, and the father says at a time when the baby was discharged, was taken out of the hospital, the brain had already suffered extensive damage. Now the family was kept in the dark. The family was even denied an ambulance since they wanted to take the baby out of the hospital. They were told that this is against, since they were leaving under the LAMA or leave against medical advice, they were not entitled to the ambulance. So imagine the heartlessness on the part of the hospital, which was busy fleecing the parents. On that note, let me go across now to our next caller. Raghav joins us from Chennai. Yes, Raghav, do you also feel that there is a need for the government to step in now with a regulation so that the private hospitals can be monitored?
Yeah, the point is, with all sympathies to the family, first, they can't expect a lower charges to be done by these type of big hospitals. Before going over to these hospitals, one should understand how much they are going to charge. And when we need A-class facilities and all these doctors to be attended in such a high level, naturally bills will be high. Maybe in this particular case, they might have overcharged. I'm not saying that
overcharging is the order of the day, and which is why people like you and me, we end up being taken for a ride if we have to land up in the hospital. Thank you so much for sharing your views. My next caller is Alok Banerjee, joins us from Durgapur. Yes, Mr. Banerjee, go ahead and share your views. Right, we'll try and reconnect with Mr. Banerjee in just a bit, but having said that, this is the story which has got India talking. India is united in rage. Look at the way that the hospital, a very established hospital at that, has been fleecing the family, the horror that they have been going through for 2 long weeks. 660 syringes to be precise, 2,700 gloves. This is what the family has been charged for. 660 syringes have been pumped into that little baby, the 7-year-old, and clearly the hospital, so insensitive, completely oblivious to the sufferings of the family. Clearly the hospital thought it best to make hay while the sun shines. The baby was battling for her life in the ICU, and the hospital was making merry at the baby's cost. Let me go across to my next caller. Mr. Vinay joins us from Bengaluru. Yes, Mr. Vinay, share your views.
Yeah, hello, this is Vinay from Bangalore. I mean, what's happening today, in fact, after hearing this, in fact, it is so heart-touching that, these private hospitals are really sucking the blood. We cannot imagine the kind of, the price they put out for hello?
Right.
Yeah, they put out for this ICU and all. It is really unbelievable.
Right, so how patients are being taken? Everyone shares the agony that the parents are going through. Thank you so much, Mr. Vinay, for sharing your views. Quickly, let me go across to Mumbai now, where Mr. Sri is. Yes, please go ahead, share your views.
Hi, this is something which has actually happened last week with me. There is a hospital, there is a pediatric doctor near my house. My daughter was suffering from fever for 3 days, and we took her directly to him. The guy actually said, he gave us, first day he gave us some medication. Second day when we went again, because the temperature was not going down, we went to him and he said that she needs to actually go through with these tests for dengue. And my wife was scared. I was in my office, and she said, okay, fine, no problem, let's go ahead with that.
Right, so horror stories there unfolding from every nook and corner of the country. Thank you, Mr. Sri, for sharing your personal story with us. So this is a story which unites all of us. This is a story which has got India united in rage. Look at the agony. Look at what the family had to go through for 2 long weeks. They lost this 7-year-old, the love of their life, but ended up being fleeced by a heartless hospital. On that note, it's time to slip into a very short break, but news and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned.